Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and there was an emergency UN security meeting called about North Korea by the United States and South Korea, and I'd just like to give my opinion on that real quick. Most of the countries took the position of, let's continue to talk. And all I have to say about that is talking's not going to work. The United States has talked, China has talked, Russia has talked. We're talking over, at least the United States, over many administrations. North Korea has continued provocations. They continued to test nuclear missiles. Well, their missiles anyways, which they would nuclearize. They continue to try to take steps to get to a nuclear missile. They've stated they want to be able to hit, the United States and other countries. So talking's not going to work. I mean, we've gone down that path for a long time. Russia takes the stance stupidly, in my opinion. They don't even want sanctions. They are opposing even economic sanctions. They say all that will do is, put North Korea in a poor position, create a stalemate, and it won't get us anywhere. Now, I think this actually puts them in a position of weakness because so what is their solution? Well, their solution is they don't have one. They just say, we want to work together. We don't want economic sanctions. We don't want military action. We want a political resolution where we all work together. But work together to do what? You're taking away all the tools. Economic sanctions are like one of the greatest political tools there is. So Russia's comments made absolutely no sense, and Nikki Haley just absolutely destroyed the Russian UN ambassador. It was embarrassing for Russia. He's trying to act all tough, and it's really funny because he can't stand being talked to the way Nikki Haley talks to him. But there's nothing he can do about it. And it's really tough defending a regime like North Korea because you're on the wrong side, and you're on the wrong side. But Russia has to oppose the United States. So then there was the whole point of this video. There is actually a significant movement, in my opinion, on the stance. South Korea said that this is North Korea's last chance. They use those words, last chance. Now it's through an interpreter, but that's what the interpreter said. And then the United States came right after and said, Russia, if you don't get on board, we're going to go our own way. And this definitely seems like the heading for the potential for war. But it's not going to happen now. They're giving a little more leeway. But the red line seems to have been drawn. That word was never used specifically, but when you start using words like last chance, basically you're setting the red line. So I absolutely love this progression. I think that we need to move on from talking. We need to, economic sanctions, I think they could potentially work. I mean, my problem with economic sanctions, you would have to go so hard with them that it would destroy the population. The only way I think economic sanctions are going to work is if you starve out their population and hurt the population in a way that they creates a rebellion. But the United States and the international community is trying to walk this line of going after the regime without going after the people, and that's just not going to work. There needs the regime isn't going to listen, no matter how poor you make them, and the North Koreans, if they don't seem like they're in a position to rebel right now. You're not raising their unhappiness level enough to rebel. So I think we should, and call me a warmonger or whatever, I think we should take military action. It doesn't necessarily have to be a conventional all-out war. It could be something less like maybe some sort of special operations or something to try to assassinate their leader or something. But if it was up to me, if I was making the decision, I would try to ally with China. It's clear that, and I use the term ally loosely, I mean ally on this issue. It's clear that Russia's not going to get on board. So just be prepared for, Russia. But if you have China come in from the north, you have the United States come in from the south with South Korea, and you just wipe them out extremely quickly. A lot of North Korean soldiers are going to die, American soldiers, South Korean soldiers, a lot would die, most likely. But I think we can do it for a lot fewer losses than expected. Remember, Iraq had the fourth largest military in the world when we wiped them out with, no losses, I think it was actually, from the original campaign. So we can take out huge militaries with very few losses. But I think you should go in it thinking that you're going to take a lot of losses. And I think you could evacuate people from most of the problem seems to be from, most of the risk seems to be from, artillery. So evacuate the northern part of South Korea potentially. You can just real temporarily try to make this a very quick operation. And in regards to China, if they take the north, Russia isn't going to attack. So have China take and hold the north. And then what I would do long term, you create you take North Korea, you topple their regime, and you give North Korea to South Korea. Pump in a bunch of money to help them build up North Korea like it should be built up, because they're extremely poor, and demilitarize North Korea. Okay? The reason you do that is because you solve China's biggest issue, which is they don't want the United States on their doorstep. They don't want a hostile South Korea on their doorstep, but really it's the United States. So you say, okay, where North Korea is now, it'll become part of South Korea, but we're not going to put any military, and South Korea is not going to put any military in that area. And then that will ease tensions, I think. You just keep the demilitarized zone where it is now, and just extend it all the way up on what is now North Korea. You'll have a unified Korea. I would even go as far to change the name back to Korea and restore some of that history back into Korea to try to help with the cultural aspect to bring the people back together. A lot of North Koreans still have families with South Koreans and all of that. So I think the best solution is to give North Korea to South Korea for that cultural reason. Russia doesn't want all these refugees from North Korea. China doesn't want all these refugees from North Korea. So some of the biggest benefit to China and Russia, you get this nuclear situation solved with, while you don't get all of, you don't have the risk of the refugees. So I don't know. You can tell me what you guys think of that idea. I I don't think talking's gonna work. I don't think economic sanctions are going to work. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with them playing out more, but in the end, I really do think the time for war is pretty much now. I mean, if not now, when will the time for war with North Korea be? That's what I'd ask you. If not now, then when? When they already have a nuclear missile? I mean, North Korea themselves declared this an ICBM. Most of the international community declared this an ICBM. I think all but pretty much Russia said that this is an ICBM, and Russia is just speaking bullshit, obviously. So, I just, I don't know. Do you guys think I'm a warmonger, or do you think this is a reasonable solution? And by the way, I think the United States can go in and wipe out these installations, and you wipe out communications, and then maybe the artillery never gets the fire command. You take out leadership, and they've got to have targets. I mean, they've been planning this war for decades. I would be worried about those drones that have like chemicals and biological weapons that can be attached to those drones. They have North Korea has a fleet of about 400, and they could go spray South Korea basically. But I think you can prevent a lot of that by having air superiority. And the last time we won the Korean War pretty effectively. It's just that China stepped in, and keep in mind, China lost a lot of soldiers, and so did North Korea. South Korea lost some, the United States lost some, but what these other countries lost that opposed us lost a lot more. It shows that we really did have the dominance we thought, and I see no reason why we don't have as much or more dominance now. So if there's someone that knows a lot about the military that thinks we don't have as much dominance as we used to be, let me know. I'm perfectly open to hearing it. But anyways, I'm going to get going. That's what I think about it. The UN security meeting, I'm sick of all of these third-party countries that are like, oh, don't go to war. Like, well, come up with a reasonable alternative, and I'm hearing no alternative ideas. That's what should really worry you about this. There are no ideas. A political alternative, that's not an idea. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later.